I'm Oral Hershiser, and I am on the Blue Review. Hey, this is Sean Green. You're watching the Blue Review.
Not so happy of Bindi on this Wednesday morning, everybody. Welcome to the Blue Review presented by LAX. I'm Marcas Grant. That is Greg Bergman. Greg, we'll get into it, but just kind of a downer of a night for the Dodgers last night.
Yeah, it's been a downer of a last couple nights. I mean, they won in bottom of the ninth last night to walk it off, but it was pretty much a downer for most of the games. So that's back-to-back games of being downers.
Yep, they lose 2-1 to the Marlins on Tuesday night at Dodger Stadium. We will dive into that. But first, I want to let you know, as always, the Blue Review is powered by LAX. What does it take to build a champion? At LAX, it takes round-the-clock testing. Skylink is being perfected right now to connect you to the airport, the new rental car center, and the metro in under 10 minutes. That is fantastic news. I will tell you that not that I rent a car when I fly into LAX, but having been to other airports and seeing how to get to the rental car center can sometimes be a hassle. So anything that takes the pain out of that process, it's a good thing. So yeah.
It is one of the more annoying sequences about going to rent a car. So it's nice to make it a better experience.
Indeed. You can streamline it all good. All right. Let's get on to last night. 2-1, the final score. Shohei Ohtani, not with his best stuff. And I think that's 2 nights in a row now we've seen a top-line Dodger starter really struggle with his command. A couple nights ago, it was Yoshinobu Yamamoto. The Dodgers were able to rally and sort of avoid all that. Last night, Shohei didn't have his best stuff. In fact, Anthony Watrado mentioned it in the chat. You heard it on the broadcast. And even Shohei himself said it after the game. You could see on his face that he was not happy with his performance. He was struggling with command. He couldn't find the zone. He uncharacteristically walked guys. You could see last night Shohei was a little bit ticked off, Greg.
Well, I mean, it was during the whole game. I think I said something also in there in the chat about how I don't remember him using this many facial expressions when he was with the Angels. Maybe I just didn't pay attention enough to the Angels, but his facial expressions, he's all over the place. I mean, he's letting you know how he feels based on his facial expression, which is odd for a superstar character, like a superstar type, to be able to do that kind of thing. Usually it's a more stoic, like no matter what, nothing phases me. He's sitting there like making all these weird faces. He's like laughing when he's pitching well. He's making like he is a full-on character, and he lets you know. So his line ended up being good. Yes. But the three walks bad. He still struck out 9, but to get through that fifth inning was a struggle. It was almost 30 pitches. He just was having a little bit of trouble getting through there. And this happens a lot with him. When it gets to the 5th, 6th inning, he just kind of slows down for whatever reason. And now you see it, I think they were saying in every single game this year, he's gone 6 innings.
Yep.
For whatever reason that may be.
Yeah, I do wonder whether last night was impacted by the fact that he was pitching on 5 days rest for the first time. They had made it a point to always try to get him that 6th day. It didn't quite line up this time around, so he was pitching on 5 days rest. They tried to sort of offset that by not having him hit, and we'll sort of get to the consequences of that in just a little bit. But you do wonder, because even he admitted last night his mechanics were off, just the stuff wasn't playing like it normally does. And you could kind of sense that from the Marlins too, that they respected it. They weren't scared. They stood in there and they had a lot of good swings. They waited him out. They were patient. They got stuff to hit, and they did a good job of putting the ball in play. Even if they only scored the 2 runs, they put pressure on Shohei. And so we hadn't seen that yet this year. But to your point, he goes through 6 innings. He gives up only 1 earned run, and he strikes out 9, which testament to him, right? Even on a night when things aren't working well, he gives you a quality start, and he still gives you every chance to win.
And okay, look, I mean, the Dodgers, if the other team scores 2 runs, they should win that game every single night. That's what it is. But at the same time, yeah, Shohei, he also saw like after one strikeout early on, he was stretching his neck. So maybe there's something going on there. But I don't know. It just felt like something was off with him the entire time. He looked good, but he gets into this mode where when he gets mad, he just starts throwing so hard, 100 miles an hour, like with a little bit of movement. He's just like, "I'm okay. You're not hitting me. I'm better than you. You can't touch my stuff when I want to be good." And that's how he gets it. He had the bases loaded, 1 out. That was an issue. He got out of that. Like he just somehow gets out of these things. So that's why you trust him. There's a couple of pitchers on this team that you fully trust in those situations. Yamamoto, Shohei, or some of those. Not Sasaki.
Not yet. We hope he gets there, but not yet.
Yeah, but Robleski showed it too, being able to get out of those situations.
Yeah, I mentioned this last night too. It feels like the starting rotation has all gotten the yips at the same time, because now we're looking at several games in a row of this, right? Robleski battled and ended up not giving up any runs, but he had guys all over the bases. He was battling with his command. Then Yamamoto comes out on Monday night and doesn't look like himself, and gives up the 4 runs, sort of battles to have to stay in there. Didn't give you the link that you want. Now, last night, Shohei just seemed off his game too. So, I mean, I don't have an explanation. Sometimes things just sort of go sideways at the same time. That's kind of what it feels like with the pitching staff. Still one of the best starting rotations, arguably the best starting rotation in baseball. They just have hit a little bit of a rough patch right now.
Yeah, and it's going to happen throughout the season, but this is, back-to-back games where because against San Francisco last week, they lost the first 2 games. They lost the Yamamoto start. They lost the Shohei start. It wasn't put onto Shohei that loss, but it still lost the Shohei start. And now this week, you're getting the same thing. You won the Yamamoto start, but probably should have lost the Yamamoto. Right. You lost the Shohei start when you probably should have won the Shohei start. And these are the types of games that you probably should be winning, because I think, is it Glasnow today at 12:45?
Yeah,
that's usually rotation. But yeah, these 3 games you look at and you go, okay, you have to win this series. So I would expect Glasnow to come out firing today because he had the extra day of rest this time, and we'll see where it goes. But I mean, since the Colorado series, this team has not been hitting. I mean, there's a random couple games where they do, but they're a 500 ball club since the start of the Colorado series. Since the Colorado, they are 6-6 since that. I mean, that's just how it is right now.
Yeah, and you mentioned it. The offense has been really the main culprit in a lot of those. The pitching staff has been fine. The starting rotation has been really good for the most part. Even the bullpen has pitched really well. We've seen it the last couple of nights too, whether it's Tanner Scott, Blake Trinan, Alex Vesia bouncing back the other night. The bullpen has been good. The offense just comes and goes at this point in the season. Last night, it did not show up at all. They loaded the bases in the first inning, had bases loaded with 1 out, could not score.
Yeah.
You get the pop-up from Max Muncy, then Teo grounds into a fielder's choice to end the inning. And I, at that point, said, there's no chance this comes back to bite them, right? And Greg, I didn't really mean it. I only kind of meant it. But it turned out to be true.
We're getting to a point now, Marcus, where the things that you say in the group chat are becoming real live things that actually happen. You said, like, starter with that has a 6+ ERA, and Yamamoto on the mound spells bad luck, and that's exactly what happened the day before. And then you put that out there. It did come back to bite him. It's you have a little bit of omnipotence there. I don't know.
Well, can I put in the group chat about having a 6-figure or 7-figure job? Something like that.
You can try.
I got just throw it out there, right? Like,
why not? Maybe something will come around. But no, like that was a frustrating thing. And so there was something big that happened, and I think it was actually Anthony and Jeff that were going back and forth with it. I didn't feel like getting into the middle of it. Whether or not to challenge that play at second base. So what happened is Otto
Lopez.
Thank you. Otto Lopez threw a floater to second base, and and Kyle Tucker slid into second base, and it looks like he might have been safe, but you couldn't tell because of the way that Otto put it in there, and they did not challenge. The Dodgers did not challenge, and that was a situation where if you do challenge and win, a run scores, you're still up to the plate, you still have bases loaded, and things can start to happen from there. They didn't, and then they basically didn't score a run until the ninth inning. So I don't know where you landed on that. I actually thought it did look close enough to challenge, but where did you land on that?
It definitely looked close enough to challenge, but I sort of felt like, okay, it's the first inning. Not so much that you're reserving them for other situations, but at that point, I felt like, okay, yes, they left the bases loaded. They're going to have opportunities to score, right? They're going to find more ways to get guys on base and to score. And so in the end, I just felt like not using the challenge there wasn't going to be an issue because I thought the offense was going to produce more than it did. As the game went on and it became apparent that they weren't going to figure out ways to score, not easily, then, again, hindsight being 2020, it's like, okay, well, maybe they should have used that challenge. Maybe they should have just taken the swing at it. And I know that's where Jeff was from the beginning. To his credit, it wasn't a revisionist thing from him. He said as soon as the inning was over, they should have challenged for all the reasons you said. They could have scored the run, been still up at the plate. I tended to think, all right, well, yeah, you missed the opportunity, but you'll score. It'll be fine. You won't need it.
No, and then you didn't. So that's how I feel with challenges just in general and in anything. When that big play happens, I'm fully aligned with Jeff on this one. When that big play happens, that's when you challenge it. That's the thing that could happen. In a baseball game, which we saw last night, not challenging there led to not scoring runs the rest of the game. It happens in basketball too. If a big play happens early on and you think that it could help change the game, and let's say a guy has, let's call it Alpi Şengün for the Rockets. Right? He has 2 fouls and it's the first quarter and he gets another one and it could be his third foul. Looks like I would challenge right there. You take him out of the game, even though it's the first quarter, even though it's early on, because it can change the way that the game's played for the rest of the game because he has to be careful with his fouls and possibly having that third. I think it's the same way in baseball. It's the first inning, but that could lead to a run. That could lead to more pitches for the starter. We see how that happens a lot with this team. They get them up to 20, 30 pitches in the first inning, and then it just rolls over and they're at 60 by the fourth. Instead, Jansen Junk is in the 6th inning with like 65 pitches and just kind of dialed in. They did take him out, but the fact is he was still dialed in at that point. Get that pitch count up. Get him stressed, more higher stressed pitches. It makes them last less, and it felt like the right time to do it. Maybe it's revisionist theory because I'm talking about it now, but it really felt like that was the right spot.
Yeah, I mean, it could look. I don't really fault that logic at all. I do feel like the Dodgers are very hesitant to use their challenges early. They used an ABS challenge on the first hitter of the game and it worked. I mean, it was a pretty obvious looking strike that got missed and Shohei gets a strikeout on it. But I get the sense that they would prefer to wait to use their challenges until high leverage late inning situations. But to your point, you really you don't always know when a situation is going to be high leverage or when you're not going to get another opportunity. And last night, they certainly didn't get any other opportunities to use those challenges. So,
And think about it this way. If you're going to challenge, if you're going to save that challenge, if that's the words we're using, and let's say that does gets overturned and Tucker's safe at second and they score a run and then a grand slam and then they hit a couple other things and think the line just keeps moving and you're up 6-7-0 in the first inning. You don't need challenges later on because you're absolutely destroying them with Shohei on the mound. Then Shohei's not pitching in as much stress. You have a big lead. He can throw a little more free and easy. Not that he doesn't normally, but it all plays into everything. It felt like the wrong move.
Yeah. I mean, well, in the end, again, hindsight having laser vision. Now you're like, yeah, you totally should have challenged, but whatever. What's done is done. The other issue, though, is you had guys in big spots last night that just did not perform. And it was a thing that Dave Roberts touched on yesterday in his post game that, here you are, you have bases loaded and 1 out, and Max Muncy pops up. Later in the game, you have 1st and 3rd, 1 out, and Kyle Tucker swings at the first pitch from a new pitcher out of the bullpen and pops it up. Muncy again couldn't come through late in the game with runners in scoring position. Just great situations where more situational hitting, just a fly ball to the outfield gets you a run or even ties the game. And it just, you have guys who were expected to come through in those situations who just flat out had bad at bats in those situations last night.
And it's crazy to me too. I mean, I know we talked about Tucker yesterday about how he's 50-50. I think he was actually 50-50 last night again on swinging at that first pitch. For whatever reason, he likes to do it. And, Kyle Tucker, a.k.a. Tom Green, went from King Tuck last night to Friar Tuck, or King Tuck 2 nights ago to Friar Tuck last night. It just, he's a little bit up and down right now. And he's not listening to you and your villain threats. So, he's done with it.
I may have to put it back out there again. I mean, every time I start to think, okay, maybe something's happening, maybe he's coming around, he just has one of those at bats, because it's one thing that, he had a single midway through the game. The game winning hit a couple nights ago was fantastic. And at some point you want to see him succeed in these more pressure situations, because that's part of the reason he's here, understanding that there's talent up and down the lineup, and all these guys have opportunities, and all these guys should be performing. You hope that they perform, but at some point it feels like we're stuck in mud, and that at bat late in the game was a big one, because Muncy grounded out to end the inning afterwards, but I felt coming into that like the Tucker at bat was the big one, because again, you could score a run with a productive out, right, and he just couldn't do that last night.
Yeah, Max Muncy has been pretty clutch this season. He's been
Max Muncy. I mean, he's kind of been what you expect.
Right. So I can't be too harsh on Muncy, because he has been good. But those were 2 bad at bats from him. Those were not typical at bats for Muncy. I think he was trying so hard to put the ball in the air and to put it into the outfield that he just got underneath it and popped it straight in the air, and that twice. Probably just a little mechanical thing, and he'll be fine. But Kyle Tucker, he had the momentum. He had another chance, and he had multiple chances, and he could have been the hero again last night in the bottom of the 8th inning, right? Yeah. He could have been the hero once again and been the guy. Okay, here's another game-winning hit from him to add to his game-winning hits this year, and it just didn't come through. It's not a big deal overall. One loss is one loss, and the Padres lost too. But these are just, you just look back on these games sometimes and say, man, should have had that one.
Yeah.
It's not like they lost 10-1,
right?
2-1.
I mean, that's the thing. We talk about it. For as much as Shohei was not himself last night, he still kept them in the ball game. They still had chances. They figured out ways to sort of rally late, right? They got a run in the bottom of the 8th inning. They actually had the winning run on base in the 9th. Just couldn't find a way to bring them in. So it is what it is. We regroup, we gather, and we get ready for today's game. So the series finale is this afternoon, 12:10 first pitch time from Dodger Stadium. It is Tyler Glasnow getting the start versus Sandy Alcantara. Hey, look, maybe this is the one where the offense shows up again, right?
Right, against the really good pitcher. And I think, I saw earlier in the year he had a complete game. I haven't been paying too much to Alcantara as much this year, but how is he? He's 3-2 with a 3.05 ERA, so a little bit up and down. But the fact is, he is a really good pitcher. He's had some trouble at Dodger Stadium. I think there was one where he gave like 7 runs really early on. That would be nice to have that one.
Yeah, I mean, if that happens, look, if they can come out and dump truck a bunch of runs in the first few innings and let everybody sort of exhale and let Glasnow do his thing, that would be fantastic. That would be great. But I mean, to the point, Glasnow has been, I don't say quietly very good, but we spent a lot of time talking about Yama. We spent a lot of time talking about Shohei, and it sort of has obscured the fact that Glasnow, 3.0, 2.45 ERA. He's been steady. He's giving you length. We have yet to have one of the previous meltdowns that we've seen from Tyler Glasnow. I mean, credit where it's due. The dude has been lights out so far this season.
He's been fantastic, and he has been an ace, and he showed it in his last one when he only gave up 1 hit. I think it was over 8 innings in his last last start.
Yeah.
So like he's been very, very good, and I hope to see the same in a day game. Also, going back to Alcantara, I was just looking it up. They hit him pretty well. They have a 324 batting average. They're on base 40% of the time. OPS over 900 as a team. You got a couple home runs from Max Muncy, a couple from Shohei. Freddie has one. They hit him. Will Smith hits him. Freddie hits him. Teo hits him. Yeah, I hope that continues, but the fact is they like to see Alcantara for the most part.
Good. Well, that's good to know.
It's like Logan Webb, you know.
I was like back to the Logan Webb thing, where they
right. Sometimes they see a guy and they're just like, we got you.
Yeah,
that's how it went with him too.
But then the Jansen Junks of the world show up and the bats go to sleep.
The Chris Paddocks who are giving it up to everybody.
Can't figure it out. Looking at the chat right here, JH Digital saying maybe it's just time already to consider Ohtani just hitting less pitch. One, it's not going to happen.
No.
Two, no, I don't think so. Like he hasn't been bad as a pitcher. He's been great as a pitcher. I guess the argument being that they missed his bat in the lineup. Maybe, but I don't know. I don't see a world where that is a plausible conversation in the Dodger clubhouse at all.
Yeah, I don't. It's not going to happen, Jesse. And I appreciate Jesse's constant candor. He's the best. But he has a 0.6 ERA, I think, somewhere around there.
0.6 exactly.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, 0.6 exactly. He also had a home run the other day, and he was on base in his last 3 games. He was on base, I think, 9 times in the last 3 games. I think he'll be okay at having him sit for a game. They're also 20-10, and right up there for the best record in all of baseball. There's no reason to move Ohtani out of anywhere. Let him continue to do what he does. And if you give him a day off like they did yesterday to not do both, fine. Makes perfect sense.
Yeah, and I do wonder, we've talked about this before. Is it going to be every other start that he doesn't hit, every third start? Like I'm sort of curious to see how they manage that part of his.
I think it's going to be based on what's happening all around it, right? So the day game the next day, 5 days of rest when he usually gets 6. Those kind of things. It all just kind of works out as a later game the night before. There's a lot of it's all going to be situational, and I think they're going to have multiple. It will once a month, depending on situation, he'll take time off, and that gives Dalton Rushing a little more time. Although he kind of slowed down. The guys that were hot early, Marcus, are no longer hot.
Pa has his cooled off, Rushing and sort of slowing down a little bit. Can we talk real quick before we wrap up about how Dalton Rushing got screwed at home plate?
Oh, that was terrible.
He gets called out on a pitch violation when he very clearly looked directly at the umpire and asked for timeout. And it appeared that the umpire acknowledged that. Then all of a sudden he's getting rung up on a pitch clock violation.
How does that work out? He literally said, "Hey, can I get a time here?" And the umpire shakes his head yes, and he goes, "Okay, cool." And then rings him up. How do you do that? What was going through the umpire's mind at that point? Was he just basically I just was looking right through you. I was just giving you a yes because why not? I'm just going to give you that yes.
Yeah, I don't really understand it. I mean, and I hate that it happened to Rushing, but it's kind of funny because he is maybe the most animated guy on this team. So that it happened to him, you kind of got a great reaction out of the whole thing. But yeah, I would be curious to find out from the umpire what the explanation was on that.
I wonder if he said anything after the game, because I think Rushing actually says to him, "Go look at the tape." He's like, "I will."
Oh, man.
I said you effing time. You looked me in the eyes.
And even when you see the replay, there is eye contact and acknowledgement of, hey, timeout, please. And,
what inning was that? That was pretty late too.
It was. I mean, it was bad. It was bad, is what it was. So, hoping for good today with the Dodgers trying to get a series win against the Marlins before they head out on the road to St. Louis. 12:10 first pitch time, and I'll be back with you tomorrow to talk about all of that. Thanks everybody in the chat for hanging out with us. Thanks to Carlo for production assistance. Stick around. So, Down on Cap Morning Extravaganza is coming up next. In the meantime, that'll do it this edition of the Blue Review presented by LAX. That's Greg. I'm Marcus. See you tomorrow, 6:30 to 6:55 here on the ESPN LA YouTube channel.
See ya.